Imagine flying hundreds of miles into enemy territory in the dead of night, surrounded by anti-aircraft missiles, enemy radar, and hostile fighters. One mistake means certain death. Yet for more than 3 decades, one aircraft has repeatedly done exactly that and returned home. It has destroyed tanks, command bunkers, missile launchers, terrorist hideouts, and strategic targets across the globe. It can fly faster than twice the speed of sound, carry more bombs than many World War II bombers, and fight its way out if enemy aircraft appear. This is not a stealth fighter. This is not the newest aircraft in America's arsenal. Yet even today, military commanders continue to trust it with some of the most dangerous missions imaginable. This is the incredible story of the F-15E Strike Eagle, the aircraft that transformed one of history's greatest air superiority fighters into one of the deadliest strike aircraft ever built. But how did this machine come to exist? Why was it created? And how did it prove itself in combat from the deserts of Iraq to the mountains of Afghanistan? Stay with us as we uncover the remarkable history of the legendary F-15E Strike Eagle. Long before the F-15E Strike Eagle became one of the most feared combat aircraft in the world, its story began with a problem. During the 1970s, the United States Air Force possessed the powerful F-15 Eagle, a fighter designed primarily to dominate the skies and destroy enemy aircraft. It was incredibly successful, proving capable of defeating virtually any opponent it encountered. However, military planners knew future wars would require more than air superiority. The Air Force needed an aircraft capable of flying deep into enemy territory, striking heavily defended targets day or night, and surviving long enough to return home. Existing strike aircraft, such as the F-111 Aardvark, were aging, while potential Cold War conflicts against the Soviet Union demanded a new generation of long-range precision attack capability. Instead of creating an entirely new aircraft, engineers at McDonnell Douglas proposed something revolutionary. What if the legendary F-15 could be transformed into a strike aircraft without sacrificing its incredible speed and combat performance? The idea seemed ambitious. The original Eagle was optimized for air-to-air combat, but its powerful engines, large airframe, and exceptional reliability made it the perfect candidate for further development. Work soon began on what became known as the dual-role fighter program. Engineers redesigned sections of the aircraft, adding advanced navigation equipment, targeting systems, stronger landing gear, increased fuel capacity, and a second crew position. The rear cockpit was occupied by a weapons systems officer, whose responsibility was managing sensors, navigation systems, and weapons during complex missions. This allowed the pilot to focus entirely on flying and combat operations. One of the aircraft's most important features was the integration of the revolutionary lantern targeting system. For decades, pilots struggled to conduct accurate attacks at night or in poor weather. Lantern changed everything. Using infrared sensors and advanced terrain-following technology, the Strike Eagle could fly at extremely low altitude through darkness, while avoiding terrain and locating targets with remarkable precision. During testing in the mid-1980s, prototypes demonstrated capabilities that exceeded expectations. Pilots flew demanding evaluation missions, carrying heavy bomb loads while maintaining fighter-like performance. Engineers intentionally pushed the aircraft to its limits, testing extreme maneuvers, high-speed flight profiles, emergency procedures, and combat simulations. The aircraft repeatedly proved capable of carrying enormous payloads while remaining fast and agile. One famous demonstration saw the Strike Eagle carrying weapon loads that many believed would dramatically reduce performance. Yet the aircraft still accelerated rapidly and handled surprisingly well. The Air Force quickly recognized the aircraft's potential. In 1988, the first operational F-15E Strike Eagles officially entered service. Crews immediately began intensive training focused on low-level penetration missions, precision bombing, and night operations. The timing could not have been more significant because only a few years later the aircraft would face its first real combat test in one of the largest air campaigns in modern history. In August 1990, Iraq invaded Kuwait, triggering an international crisis that would soon lead to Operation Desert Storm. Coalition forces assembled massive military power in preparation for liberating Kuwait and weakening Saddam Hussein's military machine. Among the aircraft deployed to the region were newly operational F-15E Strike Eagles. For many crews, this would be their first experience in combat. The mission was dangerous. Iraqi air defenses included radar-guided missiles, anti-aircraft artillery, hardened bunkers, and one of the largest military forces in the Middle East. When Operation Desert Storm began in January 1991, Strike Eagles immediately entered some of the war's most demanding missions. Flying deep into enemy territory, often at night, crews attacked command centers, airfields, communication facilities, bridges, fuel depots, and strategic infrastructure. The aircraft's advanced navigation systems allowed precision attacks under conditions that would have been nearly impossible only a decade earlier. Crews frequently operated in darkness while avoiding enemy defenses and delivering weapons with extraordinary accuracy. Yet perhaps the most famous missions involved the hunt for Iraq's mobile Scud missile launchers. These launchers constantly moved across the desert, making them difficult to locate and destroy. Coalition leaders considered them a major threat because missiles launched against neighboring countries risked expanding the conflict. Strike Eagle crews spent countless hours searching vast areas of desert, often at night, using advanced sensors to identify and attack potential launch sites. The missions were exhausting and dangerous, but they demonstrated the aircraft's unique combination of endurance, firepower, and precision. By the end of Desert Storm, the F-15E had firmly established itself as one of the most capable strike aircraft in the world. However, even greater challenges awaited in the years ahead. The collapse of the Soviet Union did not bring an end to military operations. Instead, the Strike Eagle would soon find itself deployed to new conflicts across multiple continents, facing entirely different enemies, and proving once again why it had become one of America's most trusted combat aircraft. The success of the F-15E Strike Eagle during Desert Storm was only the beginning. Few could have imagined that the aircraft would remain on the front lines for decades, participating in nearly every major American military operation that followed. As the 1990s progressed, new conflicts emerged in the Balkans, where ethnic violence and political instability threatened Europe. During operations over Bosnia and later Kosovo, Strike Eagles were once again called upon to conduct difficult precision strike missions against heavily defended targets. Unlike the open deserts of Iraq, the mountainous terrain of the Balkans created entirely new challenges. Pilots had to navigate complex landscapes while avoiding air defenses and identifying targets hidden among civilian infrastructure. The aircraft's advanced sensors and precision-guided weapons proved invaluable, allowing crews to strike military objectives while minimizing collateral damage. These missions further demonstrated the flexibility of the Strike Eagle and reinforced its reputation as one of the most reliable strike platforms in the world. Then came September 11, 2001. The terrorist attacks against the United States changed global security forever and launched the War on Terror. Almost immediately, American military forces began preparing operations in Afghanistan. The F-15E Strike Eagle would once again play a central role. Afghanistan presented some of the most demanding combat conditions pilots had ever encountered. The country's rugged mountains, harsh weather, and remote battlefields required aircraft capable of remaining airborne for long periods while supporting ground forces operating far from major bases. Strike Eagles frequently flew missions lasting many hours, often supported by aerial refueling tankers. Crews provided close air support to troops engaged in combat, striking enemy positions with extraordinary accuracy. In many situations, soldiers on the ground depended entirely on aircraft overhead for protection. The Strike Eagle became famous for rapidly responding to urgent requests, delivering precision-guided bombs within minutes of receiving coordinates from troops under fire. As technology advanced, the aircraft received continuous upgrades. New targeting pods improved image quality and target identification. Modernized radar systems increased detection range and tracking capability. Enhanced communication equipment allowed crews to share information with other aircraft and ground forces in real time. Precision weapons became increasingly sophisticated, enabling attacks against moving targets and reducing the risk of civilian casualties. Despite being based on a design that originated decades earlier, the Strike Eagle continued evolving into a more capable combat platform. In 2003, the aircraft returned to Iraq during Operation Iraqi Freedom. Once again, Strike Eagles participated in the opening stages of the air campaign, attacking command centers, military installations, communication networks, and strategic infrastructure. Thanks to lessons learned from previous conflicts and improvements in precision-guided weapons, attacks became even more effective. Pilots could engage multiple targets during a single sortie while maintaining exceptional accuracy. Throughout the conflict, the aircraft also supported coalition ground forces by conducting close air support missions across the country. As the years passed, the Strike Eagle became a truly global asset. It participated in operations against terrorist organizations, flew deterrence missions near hostile nations, and supported allies around the world. During operations against ISIS in Iraq and Syria, Strike Eagles conducted hundreds of combat sorties targeting command centers, weapon depots, vehicles, training facilities, and fortified positions. The aircraft's large payload capacity made it particularly effective, allowing crews to strike numerous targets during a single mission. Few aircraft combine such range, endurance, precision, and firepower in one package. What made the Strike Eagle especially remarkable was its ability to adapt to changing warfare. Originally designed to penetrate Soviet air defenses during the Cold War, it successfully transitioned into a platform capable of supporting counterinsurgency operations, precision strikes against terrorist organizations, and modern network-centric warfare. Its versatility ensured continued relevance even as newer aircraft entered service. The Strike Eagle is powered by two powerful turbofan engines capable of pushing the aircraft beyond Mach 2.5. It can carry more than 23,000 pounds of weapons, including laser-guided bombs, GPS-guided munitions, air-to-air missiles, and specialized strike weapons. Despite its heavy combat load, it retains impressive maneuverability and remains fully capable of defending itself against enemy fighters. This combination of fighter performance and bomber capability is one of the reasons the aircraft earned the name Strike Eagle. Perhaps the most impressive aspect of its history is longevity. Many combat aircraft serve for a limited period before retirement. The F-15E has remained operational for decades while continuously receiving upgrades that keep it relevant against modern threats. Advanced electronic warfare systems, modern radar technology, improved sensors, and new weapons have transformed today's Strike Eagle into a far more capable aircraft than the original version introduced in the late 1980s. Even in an era dominated by stealth aircraft such as the F-35 Lightning II and the F-22 Raptor, military planners continue relying on the Strike Eagle for missions requiring heavy payloads, long range, and exceptional reliability. The aircraft has accumulated hundreds of thousands of flight hours and participated in countless combat operations across multiple continents. Few aircraft in aviation history can match its combination of versatility, effectiveness, and combat experience. From the tense years of the Cold War to the deserts of Iraq, the mountains of Afghanistan, the skies above the Balkans, and the battlefields of the Middle East, the F-15E Strike Eagle has repeatedly proven why it remains one of the most respected combat aircraft ever built. More than 3 decades after entering service, it continues standing ready for whatever mission comes next. Its story is not simply the history of an aircraft, but the history of modern air warfare itself. A machine born from necessity, tested in combat, refined through experience, and transformed into a legend that continues to fly into the future.